Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I just finished having a very quaint little breakfast here, and I'm enjoying a very mediocre cup of coffee. And I thought now might be the perfect time to do another entry in sharing your stories. If you're new around here, excuse me, even my throat knows it's mediocre. If you're new around here, these episodes on the channel are me sharing stories that have been sent in by the community, whether they be van life stories, nomadic stories, goals or dreams of joining of the van life movement, or whatever you want to call it, or even just sharing any fun aspects from their life. I say fun. I shouldn't say fun. I should say sharing trials, tribulations, or even the happy moments. It's a great place for people to come and just sort of be heard by the community and possibly get feedback in the comments of this video. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Our first story today comes from Carol, and she appropriately titles her subject line, Sharing Stories. Carol writes in, she says, "Well, hello there, Matthew. You know me as Vanlife Vibes," although I'm pretty sure you've changed your name on YouTube now. That's how far behind I am, my apologies. "And I wanted to take this opportunity to tell my story. I am a single 50-something successful lady with a home and a van I purchased about a year and a half ago. After the last few years of COVID and political discourse in the USA, I find myself drifting apart from my friends and at odds with family over politics. We have since resolved. I had this feeling life was passing me by. I'm not good with relationships, and I got my van to go and travel, meet new people, and get out of a rut. Different than many folks. I was working a fully remote 9 to 5 at the time. Now I am only partially remote. She says, blah, not a fan of only being partially. I feel like it's the best thing I ever did. Now I've decided to sell my home, move states into a tiny home, and continue van life travels with my tiny home base. I saw you on Chrome's van tour and thought you may have been a little goofy, over the top, trying to be funny, but I have come to love your channel, as you know, from very early on. I like how you told us your background, why you got into van life, and about your daughter. You seemed like an all-around good guy trying to do well for his kid and be in her life like so many don't. What hooked me is this. That first long live stream on New Year's Eve. I was feeling very alone in my feels about crappy relationships, and here you are greeting people and talking to them and remembering our names. That personal interaction was when I was down was so amazing. You make us feel like friends, and I really needed it that day. I knew then I would support you and your channels, and I have enjoyed every video and Patreon clip since. Well, except for maybe some of the car mechanic stuff, LOL. Here's to hoping you can make this a full-time thing very soon, and I hope you do a meetup at some point, as I would love to give you a hug. Sincerely, Carol, Vanlife Vibes." Thank you for writing in, Carol. Those were some very, very kind words. I feel like myself and a lot of people can probably relate to you exactly with what you were going through at the beginning of your story there. And I am glad that you enjoyed that live stream so much. That was a very special moment for me as well. It was my first one. I was nervous to do it, but people responded to it really well, such as you have illustrated here. And I knew that early on that you appreciated me remembering people's names, and I do make an effort to try to do that. Obviously, the more people speak out and are active in the community, it's easier for me to do that. I don't know, when did you send this? This came in, oh goodness, at the beginning of January. Obviously, the channel has surpassed 25,000 subscribers now, and it's getting harder to do that, so I hope people don't hold it against me. But that was a very fun time for sure. I'm glad you were able to look past me being just silly and goofy on that van tour with Chrome. And yeah, I never wavered for a second when it came to my daughter and moving into a van. Almost everybody except my immediate family thought I was going to take off when they found out they wanted to live in a van and that I had a little girl. They thought, well, that's it. He's just going to be like every other, I guess, deadbeat dad. I can't speak for anybody else, but that was never going to be my intention. And it really hurt that people thought I was going to do that. But hey, all you can do is prove those people wrong by being true to yourself and following through with your word and your intentions. I'm glad that you moved. I'm glad that you moved. I'm glad that you're happy that you moved, I should say. I'm glad you moved. You're further away from me. Obviously, I was kidding. That's cool. I get the idea of you feeling that weighing down, only being partially remote, because it's so liberating and so freeing to be on the road, in your home, go wherever you want. And I'm very happy that you are part of this community, Carol. Thank you for writing in. All right. Next, we have a letter from Joe. Joe has no subject line. He writes in and he says, "Hello, Matthew. My name is Joe Elliott, and no, not the lead singer of Def Leppard. I want to say how much I'm inspired by you and your channel. I love your positivity and how you're able to bring happiness to so many people. I had a YouTube channel that got taken down for no reason, and because I didn't have 1,000 subscribers, I had no way of fighting to get it back. I also was an idiot and deleted all my videos, so I have to start from scratch. I started a new channel, Living the SUV Life, at Living the SUV Life 513, but haven't posted any videos yet. I lost my job because of COVID and have been struggling since. Because of the lockdowns, I've gained over 100 pounds, 5'9", 345 pounds, and old football injuries are coming back to haunt me. I am unable to work a full-time job, so I try and do DoorDash, but one of the issues is I have very bad arthritis in my hip, so getting in and out of my SUV really irritates that, and I can only do it for so long. I have been building out my 2011 Kia Sorento to live in, but haven't been able to begin that journey. I currently live with my parents, but want and need to get out into my SUV. I had moved to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan because I love the cold and snow, but moved back home to help my aging parents. I'm hoping to start making videos for my new channel and start trying to build up a community like you of being nice, being happy, and being positive. Thank you so much for all you do. I'll close with my tagline. Always remember, time is non-refundable, so spend it wisely. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Joe, for writing in. Man, it's funny, two letters in a row, giving me props, and I do appreciate that. Obviously, I can relate to you losing your channel. That happened here. I'm not going to get into it too much into detail, but it obviously, it helps when you have a very supportive community around you in any situation, not just when it comes to a YouTube channel being taken down for the wrong reasons or anything like that. I'm sorry that happened to you. That is just it seems to be a struggle for a lot of YouTube creators these days. That's why you see a lot of people not necessarily jumping ship, but expanding their portfolio to other options and whatnot. So I hope in the future those other platforms become really reliable, I guess, ways for people of the nomadic community or the van life sharing community to exist on. I automatically post to some of those other platforms like Rumble and Odyssey, but those platforms right now are so caught up in the left versus right stuff that you see way more political stuff on there than you do like everyday van life stuff. So hopefully stuff like that can become bigger on those platforms. I would recommend maybe looking into there as well, so we can avoid that happening over there or over here, I guess. So you can, it's kind of like a fail safe, right? And I'm sorry to hear about your troubles as well, but I'm very impressed and proud of you for going back to help your parents. You love the cold and the snow. Come on up to Canada. We got lots of that, brother. And just take it slow with your Kia Sorento, right? Just go at your pace. Make it the way you want to make it. Don't rush it. I know there's always wanting to get it done and get to the thing, but there's something to be said about enjoying the journey as opposed to the destination. I know that's kind of cliche, obviously, but cliches are cliches for a reason. Just like you say, time is non-refundable, so spend it wisely. Thank you, Joe. I hope you're doing all right, my man. Thank you for writing in. We've got another one here. This comes from Robin. Robin Taylor, subject line, just wanted to say thank you. Robin writes in, says, "Hello, Matt. I think it's so special that you take the time to read people's stories. I can always relate in some way to each of them. I will be 60 this year, and it's like yesterday I was just 18. Just a little bit about me. I am disabled and spend every day in bed due to many health issues. I live alone, and the only person I see is my home health aide, who comes 3 days a week to do my shopping and housekeeping for me, and most of the time a kind shoulder to lean on. My life wasn't always like this, but about 7 years ago my health took a turn and things just kept getting worse. I love watching van life videos, and a few months ago, yours came up in my suggestions, and so I clicked on it and I haven't stopped watching since. I dream about what my van would look like: a fixed bed, a wet shower with a toilet and a handicap bar, wool insulation, a refrigerator with a big freezer, a toaster oven and a small microwave, heated floors, no handles on any of the cabinets because they might hurt me, 2 max air vents, a mini split for heating and cooling, and the extended step on the outside with another handicap bar on the inside to get in, 400-watt solar panel and all the stuff that goes with solar, some of the best internet installations, and a big-ass bag of money to pay for all of this. I know that was probably the biggest run-on sentence, but I think you understand by this point I really thought a lot about what I want in my dream van. I don't know what kind of van that I will get, I just know how I want it. When I watch your videos, I get to escape through my iPad and go on your adventures to Banff or wherever. When I watch you read the letters, I look at the beautiful mountains behind you and think about being there and how amazing it must be. When you do your unboxing videos, you always make me laugh. You have such a captivating personality. I love to watch you with Penny and Stella because I'm a cat person too, so watching you with them is so sweet. My dream to do van life is just a dream, but when I'm watching your videos, it becomes a reality. Sorry. Matt, even when you're driving, it's like I'm driving with you in my mind just for those few moments. I'm not in this bed anymore. I'm free. Thank you for a few minutes of van life, Robin. Okay, hang on. Sorry. Robin, thank you for writing in. Give me a minute to collect my thoughts on all of that. I remember, I'm going to tell a quick story here. I remember when I was getting hired for my job at Life Touch, the manager that was interviewing me, oh no, sorry, it was after I'd gotten hired. She sat me down, we were having a conversation. She was like, how would you like me to bestow praise upon you? Like recognition for good work. And I remember very distinctly at the time saying, please don't. I do not like that sort of thing. Don't make me stand up in front of everybody else and say, oh, Matt was the photographer of the week this week because of this photo he took or whatever, right? And I get that those systems are very valuable to companies and to groups, like for teamwork and building and support and all of that. But I always said, don't put praise on me. It's always going to embarrass me and I'm going to get emotional. Just tell me when I did something wrong and then we can go from there and hopefully I can fix it. All that was just to distract myself so I could calm down. Were very sweet words. Thank you, Robin. At the beginning there, you said it feels like just yesterday you were 18. I don't know that you need to be 50, 60, 70, 80 years old to feel that way. I felt like that ever since high school ended. Time goes by way too fast. Now that I have a little girl, man, does it go by even faster. It feels like, just like Joe said, you got to spend that time wisely, and it's hard to do. But I completely understand what it was like to just feel like it was, just yesterday. I was hanging out with my crew of friends in high school, getting up to all sorts of mischief. The good old days, I guess, as we call it, but my good old days, I hope, are happening right now as well. Your run-on sentence there, before I even got to the part where you said, I probably get it, I got it immediately. You were so specific about everything. I knew you were doing, or you have done exactly what I did before I moved into my van, and that was planning stuff out. I remember being in the empty apartment and measuring out with a tape measure and then using tape to do the rough dimensions of the van, and I was putting pieces of furniture to hold places for my cupboards and cabinets and stuff. And then I sat on a stool inside that taped off square and just envisioned being in my van. So I totally get it. And the fact that you've got it like down so succinct, so specific. Oh, I hope you can get there. But your very kind words obviously touched me very deeply. I appreciate that. And hearing words like that is really what makes me want to keep going and do stuff that, maybe doesn't appeal to everybody, like when I do my camping videos and whatnot, or go out of town and stuff, but I will always keep doing them knowing that there are people out like you out there watching. I'm sorry that while reading your story, it was just the wall of Lucky behind me and not those mountains for you to look at. But I do appreciate you writing in all the same, Robin. Okay. This next one comes from Douglas. He writes in, his subject line is New Nomadic Life. Hi, Matthew. Doug Simpson, Douglas Dietrich. Oh, you were just on the live stream the other night. Hi, Douglas. I've followed you very nearly since the beginning, have literally watched every one of your videos. I have super chatted on YouTube a time or two, including this past live. This was sent in on January 15th. But generally keep a low profile. I'm shy like that. I love your content and appreciate your humor and that you show all the sides of this amazing nomadic life I now join you in. I wanted to write to you about the beginning of that new nomadic life. You don't have to share this, or you can do some editing if you like. Buckle up, it's a long one. I guess it started about 9 or so years ago, just after my husband and I bought our house. We were living in a high-rise condo in downtown London, Ontario before that, but we were running our business from the condo and were left with 2 rooms to live in, our bedroom and the spare bedroom as our living room. So, we bought a house with a basement so the business could run from that and took possession on March 1st, 2013. We kept the condo and rented it out. The house was great and was the space that we needed, but in my mind, I was thinking if we lived in 2 rooms for 2 years, we could live in a van or a bus, no problem. Fast forward 2 years later, my husband suffered a massive heart attack on his birthday, March 26, 2015, and died, with no insurance, leaving me with both the house and the condo to pay for, 4 dogs, a cat, and a small business to run. I had to close the business as it was mostly in his head, walked away from the condo, the bank took it, got retrained in another field of work by cashing in RRSPs, started another small business in the new field, and barely held on to the house. I managed to keep going, working 6 or 7 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day for 7 years, and finally hit burnout. Hard, but we'll get to that. I was house poor. I made all the payments, but was always exhausted, had no money left at the end of every month, and was dealing poorly with a major depression episode. Gee, I wonder why. He wrote that, I'm not just saying that. If something major went wrong, I wouldn't have been able to fix it. I couldn't afford to do the upgrades the house needed, like the kitchen and bathroom, but the idea of living in a van or bus had been tickling my brain since before we bought the house. Fast forward again to 2020, and I knew I was getting close to burnout. I could feel it. I decided to quietly explore the idea of van or bus dwelling more. I found a bunch of van and bus YouTube channels to follow and watch their content voraciously for almost 2 years and tried to learn as much as I could about everything involved in making a home on wheels. Not to sound rude, but I thought, these people are all just people. I'm also a people, so if they can figure it out, I can. Sorry. Yes. I didn't have a lot of downtime, but what little I had, I spent looking at van and bus builds on YouTube. In January of 2022, I knew I was about to break. So I started seriously shopping for a home on wheels and preparing my house to sell. With 4 small dogs and 2 cats, I adopted a little barn kitten that turned into a 22-pound ginger tabby. I knew that a van, even the largest Sprinter, just wouldn't cut it for space. So I started searching small buses, bigger than a large Sprinter. It took some time, but near the end of February 2022, I found it. I found the bus that I would make into my tiny home, so I found a way to borrow against my house to get it. Much sooner than I expected, I hit the proverbial wall. By the middle of May 2022, I broke. I had a nervous breakdown and had to close my business. The push was on, so I got the house listed and started working full-time on the bus. The house sale closed on October 28th, and I did pretty well. In 9 years, I more than doubled what we bought it for. No wonder housing is so unaffordable these days. The bus wasn't entirely finished. I had no kitchen cupboards or shower, but I had a solar and electrical system semi-installed, a bed, enough odd stuff to make a makeshift kitchen of sorts, a futon, a fridge/freezer, portable water jugs, a camp sink setup, and a composting toilet. Good enough to get going. I'm not on the road just yet, but I'm parked up in a friend's drive with solar on the roof and shore power if I need it. It's given me time to test my solar and electrical systems, sort out some heating bugs, and deal with a nagging electrical issue in the bus that keeps draining the bus battery. But I'm still sleeping more restfully than I have in years. I haven't had my recurring nightmare that I've had since my husband died, since I moved into my bus on October 27th. I haven't felt this peaceful when awake since his death. My heart and mind are finally starting the long process to healing. I want to thank you for helping me find some peace after so many years of darkness and depression. I want to look at the future now instead of dreading what might hit me next. I will be traveling all of Canada in my bus, documenting my travels on Instagram at the Gallivanting Groomer, at the _gallivanting _groomer, and maybe even on YouTube, if I can gather the courage to get in front of the camera, so follow along if you like. When I get to the Calgary area, I hope to connect with you and buy you dinner to say thanks for helping me keep my inspiration up to build my own home on wheels. I hope to do the same with Dustin Porter, Destination Adventure, and Chrome, Van City Vanlife too, when I get to BC. You 3 Canadian boys have no idea the gift you've given me. You may well have helped me to save my own life. That's worth at least one dinner. The adventure begins, and I really can't thank you enough. Happy travels, Matthew. I hope to see you on the road, bud. Doug. Okay, hang on. What is the matter with me today? Well, nothing's the matter with me. These are just very kind words that are obviously hitting me very close to home. Thank you so much for sharing that, Douglas. I am so very sorry for your loss. I'm sure you've gotten that lots, of course, hopefully from a lot of people that care about you. That's never an easy thing to deal with. And it's interesting that you feel the way you feel now that you're doing what you're doing. You were stuck in a rut, so to speak, after that unfortunate event, and just threw yourself into it. I love hearing stuff like this because that is what this lifestyle means to me as well. And I think we're all on different levels when we do it, but the fact that we all share the same outcome feeling, in the sense that we're feeling liberated, we're feeling like there's a weight lift, and we're feeling potentially happy for the first time in a very long time. And that is really what this lifestyle meant to me as well. And it seems like that's what it meant to you. And I love that idea that when you started watching YouTube videos and other van lifers, your first thought after consuming a little bit of that information was, if they can do it, so can I. And that's exactly it. I said this so long ago that we live in a very fortunate time. The internet is an amazing tool. We can share so much on it, and we can learn so much from each other. I think there's still a weird disconnect sometimes for lots of people, that since they're watching somebody on a screen, they tend to put that person on a little bit of a pedestal, celebritize them just a little bit. I did it to Chrome. When I met him, I even said that to him, but after meeting him, it was so nice to have that connection and realize that exactly like what you said, he's just another person. He even said it to me. He's like, I'm just a dude that lives in a van. And I love your mentality that if they can do it, so can I, because you're 100% right. And that's what I've always tried to encourage people to do. Learn as much as you can. Take that knowledge, use your own hands, and put it to work and make your life what you want it to be. I'm so glad you have been able to do that. And January 15th, I don't know when your journey is actually going to begin, when you're going to start traveling, but stay in touch, my man, when you're here. If it works, of course, we can meet up. That would be awesome. I think I'm going to leave this one here, though. That was a lot, but so much positivity out of all of those stories. I feel like the spotlight was a little too much on me in that one, but I guess that's okay, because most of the time these can be quite challenging for some people. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. I really do appreciate it. If you've written in and I haven't gotten to your story yet, please know that I'm not ignoring you. It just takes a while to get through all of these sometimes with everything else that's going on in my life. If you're watching and you would like to share your story, please don't hesitate. Send that in to vanlifepluscontact@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to read your story here on the channel. So with that all being said, until the next one, everybody, just go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive, and I'll see you all in the next one.